Hello plant people, it's Nora the Leca Queen. In this video I am going to show you how I extend the moss pole on my Monstera Deliciosa from a normal 900-meter pole to a big 2-meter pole. This is what the plant looks like now. I extended her pole about 2 weeks ago and she is happy, she's alive, and I'm going to show you how I did that. So when I got this plant, she was a teeny tiny thing. I've got a picture up here somewhere. She was teeny tiny. She was actually a freebie. I have never paid a single penny for this whole beautiful plant behind me. The first plant I got was a freebie and I propagated from that, and so I got 2 plants, and then I got a third Monstera from a lady who, lovely lady. I bought my Monstera albo from her, and she gave me a plant and said, look, this used to be an Aurea, it's reverted, would you like to have it? And I said, well, yeah, I mean, you can't have too many Monsteras, can you? So then I had 3 Monsteras, which is quite a lot. So I decided I was going to join all the 3 Monsteras together, put them up in Leca, and put them up on a moss pole. She's doing so well, and I've now got lots of nice big leaves. I'm looking for secondary fenestrations at this point. Do any of you have a Monstera that's got secondary fenestrations? So secondary fenestrations is where you've got little holes right there and they just look fabulous. My Monstera hasn't done that yet. It's still quite young, but I'm really looking forward to it doing that. I'm hoping this 2-meter pole is actually going to get there. But anyway, I digress. I was telling you about how one of these is actually a reverted Monstera Aurea. And I thought, look, I don't care if it's not an Aurea anymore. I'll just whack it in with my other Monsteras and it'll look beautiful anyway. But this reverted Monstera Aurea is now re-reverting. It's becoming an Aurea again. And I want to show you what it looks like now. It's absolutely spectacular. And I just cannot wait until we get to a point where my plant is mature enough and the Aurea one is mature enough. And I've got, little bits of Aurea Monstera here. I've got normal green Monstera. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So this leaf here is the first one that showed me that it's possibly re-reverting. So there's some yellow bits right here. And when I saw that, I thought, I don't know what that is. I'm not convinced. I don't know what's happening. And then I got another one. So this leaf right here, this one has got, especially on this side of the leaf, it's got so many yellow specks that I am convinced that it is now re-reverting. It's really hard for me to try and show this to you, and I hope you can appreciate it. But yeah, that's my Aurea. She's re-reverting and she looks absolutely fabulous. This is what she looks like from the back. That is the long 2-meter rod going through, and it's really stable. That's the rod going all the way down to the Leca, and the plant is very stable. I don't have to do anything to keep it upright, and it's really happy. And you can see here is where I actually attached the top moss pole to the lower moss pole. So that's nicely fastened there, and you've got the cable ties attaching the metal rod to the moss poles. The moss pole has a small metal rod attached, and that plant has truly outgrown the moss pole. You can see the node there where the aerial roots will emerge from. That white bump right there is where the aerial roots will emerge. The pole needs to be extended so those aerial roots can eventually embed in the moss. Back here, you can see how the aerial roots are entangled in the moss. The Monstera is a prolific aerial root producer, and there'll be aerial roots all over your moss pole. There are more aerial roots here. They weave in and out of the moss pole. This plant has been in this pot for a number of months, and I wanted to inspect the roots. This is not necessarily a step essential to the extension process. I did want to examine the roots and give them a wash. Check out those healthy roots, just glorious. I'm rinsing off the root ball and getting rid of any dead or dying roots. That's my plant with the fabulous roots. Again, this is not an essential step when you're extending your moss pole. I am now removing the metal rod attached to the moss pole. I had used coated wire to attach the metal rod to the moss pole, so I'm now using my wire cutters to remove them. The metal rod is now free. This is my 2-meter high metal rod. I have already measured out how much of the rod will be in the pot. This is marked by the cable tie on the metal rod. I am being careful not to damage the leaves. I use cable ties to attach the metal rod on various points across the length of the moss pole. My moss pole is now secure, and I am putting the plant back in the 20-centimeter pot and filling that up with leca. Making sure to get all the roots in there. Note that I filled the pot with leca 1/3 of the way up before I put the plant in. Some of the area roots have actually found their way into the pot. How amazing is that? For some reason, I find it easier to scoop the leca with my hands instead of using my tool. It must be a mindfulness thing. The leca just feels so great to handle. I had to do this on the floor because the plant is so big. I'm making sure to have the leca everywhere in the pot. It's really important to put leca behind the pole as well, as this makes the pole more stable. Now the fun part, extending the pole. This is the top of the old pole. There's some space there, and I will fill this up with sphagnum moss. This is a moss pole I made earlier. It is slightly wider than the old moss pole, and the reason for that is because I will fit the new moss pole outside the new one. The old pole will sit within the new moss pole like a hand in a glove. The new pole slides onto the old one. I have used the big cable ties to attach the new moss pole to the metal rod, and then I use small cable ties to attach the old moss pole to the new moss pole around its width throughout the circumference. So I'm very, very happy with this plant. She is doing so well, and I'll be so eager to show you her progress, and hopefully in about 5 years' time I am going to have a monstera living in some corner of my house. Thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.